Yesterday, it was announced that Connor Bedard would miss at least 6 more weeks with that fractured jaw he suffered a few weeks ago. On that same day, the Hawks were in Bedard's hometown of Vancouver, where the Canucks shut them out 2-0. By no means are they cemented in that 31st place in the NHL standings. Anaheim only has one more point than them, but right now they have the second best odds to land the first overall pick for the second year in a row. And it really does look like they're going to have between the first and fourth best odds of landing that first pick. And last year, I'm sure you remember, they landed Bedard with the third best odds in the draft lottery. And look, I don't think there was much doubt, but now that we know that Bedard lives up to the superstar hype, I've seen the conversation around the Blackhawks really seem to center around, alright, who's going to be his running mate? As good as he is, he needs help on offense. Not necessarily on the same line, but in the same lineup to at least balance the attack out a little bit. Yes, that's why Taylor Hall was brought in. That one has turned out kind of sad, given what's happened to Hall since he's been a Blackhawk. And yes, Frank Nazar's coming. He looks like a good player. But what I think people mean when they say Bedard needs help is who's going to be his Draisaitl, or his Malkin, or his Marner. And it's interesting because in a lot of these cases, the secondary guy either came first or at the same time. Malkin was drafted a year before Crosby. Draisaitl was drafted a year before McDavid. Matthews and Marner came in at the same time and got to learn the ropes of the NHL together. Yes, I know Marner was drafted a year before Matthews, but they had the same rookie season. Bedard hasn't had that. And naturally, because you almost always get these young elite guys out of the draft, people tend to look to the 2024 draft lottery for the other side of that dynamic duo per se. And again, I know I'm going to get comments about it. It doesn't necessarily mean a line mate for him. Crosby and Malkin have spent a ton of time on separate lines. Same thing with Connor and Leon. It just means adding another elite offensive player to that lineup, the Taves to his Kane. And when I was playing around with the Tankathon draft lottery simulator, the Hawks were getting the first or second overall pick a lot. So if you'd be able to throw a Macklin Celebrini in a lineup with Connor Bedard, plus you've got Kevin Korchinski on the back end who looks like he's going to be a stud. Alex Vlasic also looks like a good young defenseman in the making. Plus you've got Nazar at that point, then you've got something really cooking in Chicago. If Chicago gets the second or third pick, then things get really interesting because Bob McKenzie just released his midseason draft rankings and he's got 2 defensemen at second and third overall. Obviously these days GMs tend to draft the best player available. Could you imagine if in 2015 Edmonton was like, our offense is stacked. We have Nugent Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, and Nail Yakubov. We don't need McDavid, we need a defenseman. Let's get the top ranked one. Noah Hannafin, you're an Oiler. No, they tend to go for the best player available, but things can definitely change between now and June. So I wonder how strongly they consider those 2 high offense left wingers, Cole Yzerman and Demidov. They've got to be attractive pieces to put on Bedard's left wing. The Hawks are definitely going to win some games these next 6 weeks without Bedard. Probably not very many, but there'll be a few sprinkled in there. When Bedard does come back though, it's going to be very interesting the position in the NHL standings that the Hawks are in and where they're going to be come season's end, because this is the process in which a dynamic duo gets created, and it's kind of cool to see it unfold before our eyes. That type of stuff has always interested me. How did the Oilers get McDavid and Draisaitl? Or Chicago with Taves and Kane? I like analyzing the seasons before they got those guys. If you want more content like that, like the video and let me know in the comments because I'd love to make it. But we're witnessing it right now with Bedard. The question is, who's it going to be? In 4 or 5 years when we're looking back and it's Bedard and Celebrini or Bedard and Yzerman or him and someone else, it's going to be fascinating to look back on this time where we didn't know and what led up to it. Let me know. Like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one. You're awesome.